This is the Construction Leading Edge podcast from ConstructionLeadingEdge.com and ConstructionBusinessAccelerator.com. My name is Todd DeWalt, and it's my job to help construction business owners maximize revenue and eliminate chaos. Got a great interview for you today with Audree Grubesic. She's the owner and founder of Connect Home Builders and Modular SureSite, located in Colorado. And here's what you're going to learn. Here's what you're going to get out of this podcast. You're going to hear about how Audree made the transition from sales and marketing to starting 2 construction businesses, and she did this just a few years ago. You'll also learn about some of the common misconceptions about off-site or modular construction. If you're a custom home builder or a spec home builder, you're going to hear about what you need to know about off-site construction and why you might want to consider this method for upcoming projects. You'll also hear about Audree's experience as a woman starting a business in the construction industry. Also, the importance of setting expectations with clients. This is very important. This is a common theme that I hear from my coaching clients. And you'll also get Audree's advice to help you grow your business. Now, before we get to that interview, I have some resources that I want to get in your hands. If you own or run a construction company, I want you to imagine this. What would it be like if you could schedule for revenue and you could drive your business instead of chasing it? What if you could design your operation so that you could stay out of cash flow crunch mode, you could make a healthy profit, pay yourself a healthy salary, and eliminate chaos in the process? What if you could have a steady source of leads so you could build the right kind of backlog without spending money on advertising? Well, I've got 2 programs I want to get in your hands for free. They're the Revenue Maximizer and the Contractor Sales Accelerator. They're worth about $4,000 combined, but right now you can get them both for free, plus a whole lot more when you claim your free 10-day trial of the Construction Business Accelerator program. You're going to get the Revenue Maximizer, the Contractor Sales Accelerator, plus a whole lot more. The Mindset Upgrade, the Leadership Masterclass, the Project Execution Formula, all of my best stuff. So if you like the podcast and you want to go to the next level and go deeper, get more practical, tactical, strategic stuff to put to work to help you eliminate chaos and maximize revenue, go get your 10-day free trial and get all of that stuff for free at ConstructionBusinessAccelerator.com. Again, ConstructionBusinessAccelerator.com. Grab your free 10-day trial of the Construction Business Accelerator. If you own a construction business and you want to increase revenue 25 to 50%, if you want to eradicate the chaos in your business and streamline it and turn it into a well-oiled, profitable machine, then this is for you. I want to invite you to take advantage of a special offer for a free business breakthrough coaching session where you and I are going to get on the phone and we'll work together to help you create a crystal clear vision for what ultimate success looks like for your business and the lifestyle that you'd like for your business to provide for you and your family. We're also going to uncover some of the hidden challenges that may be holding you back or even sabotaging the growth of your business, and as a result, keeping you working too many hours and not getting the results you want. And when we're done, you're going to walk away from this session renewed, re-energized, and focused, maybe even inspired to get after it and turn your business into a highly profitable, revenue-generating, well-oiled machine. So if you want to take advantage of this limited time offer for a totally free business breakthrough coaching session, then all you got to do is go to ConstructionLeadingEdge.com/call. That's ConstructionLeadingEdge.com/CALL. And one more thing for you, if you own a construction business or you're planning on starting a construction company in the near future, I've got a free video series I want to get in your hands. Have you ever wondered, how do the big successful contractors do it? How do they grow consistently? Why don't they have cash flow issues? What are they doing that you're not? Well, I've got a free video series called The Secret Strategies of Successful Contractors that I want to get in your hands. And here's what you're going to uncover in this free video series. One hidden cost that causes a lot of contractors to bleed cash and they don't even know it. There's this new way of thinking that will help you drive revenue, deliver projects on time, and ultimately grow your business and take it to the next level. You'll learn about some of the things that big contractors do to succeed that very few small to medium-sized businesses do. And lastly, you're going to learn why some of the biggest problems you're facing may not be problems at all. So if you want to get this free video series, all you have to do is go to constructionleadingedge.com/owner, OWNER. Click the big red button that says, yes, send me the information, and you will learn some of the secret strategies of successful contractors. Now, let's get to that interview with Audree Grubesic of Connect Home Builders and Modular SureSite.
All right, Audree, thanks so much for being on the podcast today. So let's start with your story, and we'll get into your background, but what you've been up to for the last couple of years. You started a site work company built for residential construction, and now you've transitioned into the next phase, and you are a turnkey solution provider. So tell us what that process looked like, what you started out as, and what you're doing now, and then even what does the future look like for your company?
Well, thanks, Todd. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for connecting. I'm really happy to be on your show. I listen to it religiously, and I think it's a great asset for the construction community. So thank you. I feel very blessed to be on here first off. So basically, my company kind of derived out of marketing and sales. I was in residential, custom and luxury homes, and I was in the Colorado Springs, Colorado market, and then in the Denver market. And I had a client come up to me in the Denver market. Our market is just kind of booming, I guess like every other major market in the city areas. And so in the luxury realm, we were in between 800 and 1.5 million. That was kind of our sweet spot. And I had a client come in, and he was very distraught. He had land in his family, and he only had about a $400,000 budget, really wanted to build a home in his Denver neighborhood and couldn't come up with a solution. So we started doing some research, and that's kind of how we came across modular construction. The price point was satisfying to his budget. He could get a construction loan, and he could also build a brand new home. So that's when I started looking into the market space. And about a year and a half ago, I came up with Modular SureSite, which is basically a general contracting service company for modular builders. And I specifically went into that niche because I started looking into the research and finding out that modular panelization, offsite construction, all of the above, is really a platform that I really want to be involved in because I believe in the construction and the viability of it. In Canada, also in Europe, building a house in a factory is very common. It's kind of like how we expect to build cars in a factory or iPhones are built in a factory. All the things that we do are very similar. And now we're starting to see a progression with modular construction or homes being built in the factory from A to Z, from the framing to the lighting to the cabinets to the flooring. Everything that you could possibly want in a house is built in a factory. So it was very interesting to me, and I started pursuing the general contracting side because I wanted to know more about the site work and the construction and really understand firsthand how those pieces all come together so that I could be knowledgeable and explain it to other females, because in construction a lot of the conversation happens between man and man, and they kind of understand it. A lot of them have been brought up in construction or understand the realm of that, where women, a lot of us haven't. So that was very, very important to me as a business owner. From there, I started Connect Home Builders because I wanted to be able to be a turnkey business and explain to clients on the construction part of the lending, finding land, knowing more about the home and the construction and the benefits of doing off-site construction, and then also knowing the site work, like if you need a well or if you need septic or if you want to learn a little bit more, understand about doing a crawl space or the foundation, the excavation, a perimeter drain. So all these things that I've learned over the last year have been great contributors for a conversation that I now have the knowledge base and understanding. And I'm not saying I know everything about construction, but I know how to get the answers, and I understand where a client might have questions that I can answer. So that's kind of how I got into this realm. It's very unique to the Denver marketplace. We have about 14 different dealers. They're not really home builders. I guess you would say they're more dealers. They basically help provide an area for you to purchase a home through different factories and elements of that nature and be able to help you have another option for building. Because not everybody can build a $400,000 or $500,000 home. They have to build a home that's maybe $175,000 and find land and all these other things to make their dream home a possibility.
And you mentioned before we started the interview that building mountain homes in Colorado presents some specific challenges that are well suited for modular construction. Can you talk about what those challenges are and why modular was a good solution for them?
Well, the interesting thing, we just got done doing a project for Modular Sure Site with Rocky Mountain Home Builders, and the client in particular had a 3,800 square foot house. It was 4 boxes. It was in the mountain region, and being in the mountains, they have a 8-month term of winter weather, basically, of snow. So for them, doing their research, they decided to do modular construction because they could basically have the house set within 10 hours, those 4 boxes. There was a time frame to being able to get the foundation and the excavation done in a timely manner. And basically for them, in that size of a house, in that specific market area, it took about a year to do. If you were to build a stick frame home in that same area, the typical time frame to do something like that is 18 to 36 months. 1, because trying to get materials up there. 2, the trade base is very small. And 3, you have winter conditions. So for them and this client doing their research, this was a great solution for them.
But what are some other areas, not necessarily mountainous regions, but other areas, situations where modular has a real advantage over stick-built construction? For example, like cold climates, whether you're in northern Canada, Minnesota, potentially that could be a challenge.
Well,
but are there other
benefits?
Yeah.
So
others,
here are some of the benefits that I have basically experienced. 1, there's less vandalism. When a house comes to a site, typically, when you're doing stick frame, you have windows and doors that have to go in. You have maybe appliances that are in there. When the house comes that's modular, basically the boxes are all finished. So you're able to lock the doors, windows are closed, you have more security on the property, you have less material waste, you have a construction on the home that actually has to travel. So you have 2x4 walls, sometimes you have 2x6 walls depending on the construction of the home. So it makes it more secure. You have more insulation in these homes because they have to travel. There's just a degree of how they're built, and when you're built in an environment in a factory, these houses are built in 1 week. And these are workers that aren't drinking on site or having any issues there because it's just something that happens in the industry. I'm not saying all construction's like that at all, but there's always a variable. You don't have any environment where you're building in the snow and you have to worry about slippage, or you have to worry about OSHA, situations where you have to have safety in place because of the home and the environment that you're constructing the home in. Everything in a modular home is reviewed and it's inspected, and there's a process of getting it done in a timely manner. And again, that's inside a factory, so you don't have you're not battling any of the weather conditions. So those are a couple of things when you're looking at a modular. The other thing that's really nice about modular is that you have a price point that you know when you walk out. So when you a builder, let's say you come into Connect Home Builders and you select a plan online and you're like, this is the plan that I want, but I want to move this wall and I want to move this and I want to move that. So basically you're customizing the house and the floor plan, and then you're able to pick all of your selections. So you're picking your flooring, your cabinets, your color of your walls, your lighting fixtures, all the things that come in your house. And then it gets all put together, and the best part about it is you know the price point when you're done. So when I was working in luxury and custom homes, the problem would always be change orders, and they would be all these different things to the house because the client wanted to have specific things. And so you're constantly tracking change orders, you're tracking all these different changes. And with a modular home, you're selecting it all, and then you're done, and you know the exact price when you walk out. When you do six and frame, some companies are really good and tight with their budgets, and they know all that, and they know that house is going to be $250,000, and then all of a sudden the client walks out and it's $300,000. That's the other reason why I like modular is because you can contain the price point. You know exactly what you're getting for that amount, and it doesn't change unless later on the client changes it.
Yeah, but let's talk about a couple of situations, one being a custom home builder and the other being a spec home builder, because I know there's a lot of both of those listening to the podcast. If you're talking to a custom home builder, are there any sort of constraints on the size of home, or like can you mentioned a 3,800 square foot, you can build a 3,800 square foot modular home in the mountains of Colorado. It seems like you could probably build just about anything, but are there any constraints? If a custom home builder is saying, you know what, I'm thinking about going with modular because of whatever the reasons are there constraints on size, the layout that they need to be aware of?
Well, this is the thing this is what I believe. I believe that we'll always have production home builders. I believe we'll always have luxury custom home builders. We'll always have home builders, right? This market is never going to change. People are always going to like what they like, and they're going to buy on whatever variables they have. In modular construction, it has to travel. So the biggest box that you can create is, anywhere from 13 feet to 14 feet wide. The length that you can do is 76 feet long. So you got to think it has to travel. Now, the interesting thing about modular construction is you can do any type of floor plan you want as a modular home, but you have to have a factory that will produce that type of creativity. So the particular home that we worked with in the mountains was a heritage home. Heritage is considered a custom kind of modular company. You can bring plans, and they'll figure out a way on how to design that home. Everything works with a price point. If you're looking to have a price point of $80 a square foot or $125 a square foot, there's different variables that work within that price point. And like you said, constraints. Are they hardwood cabinets? Are they Formica cabinets? Are they laminate flooring? Is it hardwood flooring? All of those different things matter to how you're going to deliver your home. So I have actually talked to several. I was on a panel about a year ago with 5 different builders in Denver, several of which were custom home builders. And I met with them personally afterwards, and they were kind of intrigued by the process of modular because one of the things that we are all facing in this industry of construction is labor issues. We don't have enough workers. We don't have enough people that are getting into this industry. So being able to have one segment of the house being already completed actually helps the process because now we're just doing the finished work. So there are always constraints. And one of the other things when I was talking with one of my custom home builders is the home, if you were comparing it. So basically, modular home is built on the same IRC code as sticks and bricks. So they basically, if it's the same type of home, same type design, they will appraise for the same value. So that's a great benefit right there. The difference is with some of the builders and some of the people that I've talked with is when you start looking at numbers, everything kind of comes out the same. It's the same as sticks and bricks on some homes as it is on modular. But the only difference with modular that I have seen is the span of time for completion. One of the houses that we did in the mountains, we were able to get that house done in 20 weeks after the house was set. So their total time from planning all the way to final inspection was about 9 months. It's just it's the variable of speed.
Which is huge because of carry costs. If you're financing construction, then that can be a significant cost. What are some of the misconceptions about modular that you run into? Are people thinking that you're talking about manufactured homes or that appraisal values are lower? Or what are some other misconceptions that need to be dispelled?
That's why a lot of times you'll hear our industry is moving to system builds That's what we call it now instead of modular, because modular is mostly conveyed or confused with mobile homes. And mobile homes have a different construction process, and they have a different construction loan process. So they're a HUD type of construction industry factor. And when you talk modular, modular is the same as sticks and bricks in the IRC code, International Residential Code. So it's always confused. I think it's always confused when you look at the ones that I have particularly worked on. You would never know in 100 years that those houses are modular. You would never know it. They have gable roofs that make them look different. They have decking. They have on-site built garages. They basically are a custom home. Just partial of that home is made in the factory. So I think that's kind of one of the biggest defaults in our industry. I think the other one is, everybody thinks that the homes are not customizable, and they also don't have really great finishes. And when you're in a city market, finishes are everything for many new home buyers. And we're able to overcome that because the product base and the buying of factories now are getting so much more intelligent, and they're bringing in great, beautiful, like freestanding tubs and, 2x20 tile pieces, and they're doing pre-engineered wood flooring. So they're starting to change their dynamic and their product as well. And when you look at the East and West Coast, a lot of companies like Living Home or Blue Home or Modern Homes, they're like $3-4 million modular homes that are just amazingly beautiful with their finishes. So it comes in lots of different packages, I guess you could say.
Great. So let's talk about a spec home builder, someone who is building homes of any size, but they're not custom. Well, I have an example. I've got a small development. I have about 6 building lots available right now, and I've looked at either stick building, conventionally building it, or using modular. What are some of the advantages of going with modular for a speculative home?
Well, the nice thing about modular, again, is kind of that same conversation. You know exactly what you're putting into it and what your price point is when you're coming out. You could basically get your permit, and at the time after you get your permit, you can have your foundation and excavation done, and then you can have the house ready to go and set on the lot. So you can, time frame is pretty turnkey and pretty quick. I think that the other nice thing is that you don't have to have all of these other trades inside that house to finish the house. If you're doing a crawl space or an unfinished basement, you can get that house done pretty quickly. And again, it's the security of the home. Once the home is set on the foundation, you can lock all the doors and windows, and there's not a tremendous amount of vandalism that happens in the home.
Let me go back a little bit, and then let me ask you this question, because I know some people are interested in building spec homes. You have a background in sales and marketing. Where would you advise somebody to start if they have some property, they know how to build? How would they assess the market to figure out what they should build? I guess that's the question. Is how should somebody go about determining what should I build that will have the highest chance of selling in my market? Does that make sense?
It does, and I think, always people that are builders or people that are in an area, first and foremost, obviously land is the biggest variable. Whatever you can negotiate your land. Let's say you already have the land. I guess the next really big item is where are your utilities connected? Are you doing well in septic? In an area of mountain region that we're in, we have expansive soils, so our wells have to be 500 feet down. So you're looking at a well dig for like between 15 and 20,000. Then you have the pressure tank that has to be in the house to actually pump the water to the house. So the variables on your utilities is a big item. I would always find out what those are, right? I think the other thing that I would consider is talk with your real estate agent and start researching and trying to find out what appraisals and what basically sold at what value in the shortest amount of time. So is it a ranch-style home? Is it a 2-story home? And what were those price points? Where did they come in at? What's the price per square foot for the entire project? And then what I would do is I would start researching floor plans that would be conducive to helping that audience or helping that person get what they want out of that home. Obviously, different market areas have different values, and there's different things in those homes that make them attractive. Right now, we're seeing a boom in having a living room, kitchen, open floor plan. So, and having a large island and having, an attached garage. So there's different things when you start researching your marketplaces. Talk to your realtor. They have so much knowledge. They have so much information that can help provide insight to you. And then obviously start talking to your lender, because it always starts with a budget. Finding out your budget and being able to meet that is obviously the next big expectation of building a new home.
Great. I appreciate that. If somebody is interested in looking into modular or system-built construction, where would they go? How would they find somebody who services their area?
Obviously Google's the friend of everyone. I would Google modular or off-site construction in the area that they're building in or in the state. There is, for us, there's different organizations that have a list. Also, you can go to, if you actually go to the county that you're looking to build in, you can go to the building official site, like let's just say, like for us, Denver County. You can pull up Denver County and it actually tells you about who are registered builders that build modular. You also have a set team, because you've got to think, once you order the modular and you have the site all ready to go, you have to have a team come in with a crane to be able to organize the set that sets the house. So you have information there. So what I would do is look at your county and your building department first, because sometimes they already have all of those people already registered and listed on their website. That would be like a first great resource.
Great. Thank you for that. All right, let's shift gears and talk about your experience as a female business owner in construction, primarily male-dominated industry. What's been your experience making this happen and growing your business in that situation?
It has been interesting. I have great cheerleaders, and then I have other naysayers. Being a female in construction, I think the one advantage that I have is the sisterhood of other females. Most females make the decision with their husbands or their significant partners. They have the upper hand on what they want. And so being able to have that conversation with the homeowner or the interested client is a benefit, because I can relate to layman's language, I guess you would say, in construction. I have some really amazing partners that want to see me strive and get into this area, because they love construction in general. So it just depends. I've worked with some subcontractors that have not been as respectful. There's different conversations that happen, but I think that's in the industry in general. Everybody right now in construction and in building are very tapped out. Everybody is at such a high volume of work that I'm starting to realize you can't take things personally. You don't know what other people are experiencing at the time. And my biggest key, and I think it's been shared with lots of other guests, is, closing my mouth and listening what's going on and taking a deep breath and finding out a solution. I think that solution and problem solving is probably one of the biggest things I've ever experienced in this industry than any other. And I'm growing, and I want to learn more, and I want to be a better communicator and understand the industry to the fullest amount, and really listen and try to contribute more. My whole goal is to have more affordable housing, or obtainable housing, I guess you would say. My goal is also to celebrate this industry that's transitioning and learn more about it, and be able to provide another resource for people that may have a lower budget that's not the median age or medium income level of what houses are going for in Denver. In Metro Denver area right now, an average house sale is about $450,000 for maybe a 1,500 square foot home. I mean, you're talking major dollars and one of the biggest investments. So being a female in construction is exciting. There's other female builders that I'm starting to meet And I think overall we're looking to build relationships and do our best and, be better in the industry so that we can collaborate and bring more women in, because I think we are changing and being more progressive in the building arena and seeing that we all have different skill sets at different levels. And, being a communicator, I think that's probably the biggest key that I meet with a lot of female builders, is that I think we try to maybe communicate and be a little bit more, more welcoming so that people can understand it and be more involved in it.
I'm sure there are some ladies listening who are either planning to start a business or they're in the first couple of years of business. If you just imagine you're talking to a handful of ladies who are in that situation, but they're frustrated at the lack of results, wondering if they're doing the right thing, thinking about giving up on this dream, what would you say to them in that situation?
I felt those same feelings. I totally understand. I think that you've got to feel happy with who you are and what your deliverable is. If you really believe in what you're doing, I say stay the course. Don't give up. Find other like-minded individuals. I have a good core of women. I started a professional women's organization about 1.5 years ago, and the strength that I get from those women is unreal. I have a husband that is very proactive in what I'm doing and believes in this era of construction and changing the dynamic of it. So I think that maybe just start surrounding yourself with other like-minded individuals. I have a lot of male friends and builders that are really great people too. And so that's kind of what I do. I try to learn from them. I try to surround myself with really good people, learn things in different areas, from lending to construction to site work to different builders to different factories. I just continue to keep my mind open and try to work with the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. In my experience with a lot of the folks I work with, they are actually their own worst enemy because they sabotage themselves, they put limitations on themselves, they believe things that are not helpful or even true. And I'm curious, were there any sort of internal mental blocks or limiting beliefs or something going on between your ears that you found to be very helpful to get over, or a challenge that was holding you back?
I think just in general, there has been many challenges. I think you're right. I think that, we maybe feel inadequate. We have the mindset that maybe this is a little bit bigger than what we thought. But this is what I have found out. I have found out that there's no possible way that I can know everything. I have found out that there's always ways of finding answers if you really want to get them. I think that if you can ask lots of questions to the people that you admire or the ones that are doing it the right way, sitting down with an individual like that will change your influence in how you respond to things. And so for me, I'm an optimist. I always feel very positive about the direction. There's days that are really, really hard, but then you'll wake up the next day and something great will happen. And then you start realizing that don't be so pigeonholed. Don't be so closed-minded in one area. Keep your mind open. And if you don't know the answer, it's okay not to know all the answers. You just got to talk to people that are doing it well, that you admire, and sit down with them, have coffee, and ask those questions. And then find the right people that want to align themselves with you so that you can be on a common goal and get something achieved. Because at the end of this whole situation, in my eyes, I'm helping a person move into their dream home. I'm getting the honor to be able to have them have something in their life that they've worked so hard for, and being able to move into that and be able to have that opportunity is something that I'm able to contribute with. So I look at it as a bigger picture than all the small little problems of what you face with emotions and people, getting over the top about something not being right or not happening, because construction, there is no one way of doing it, and you will always have stress and you will always face an issue. So it all depends on how you attack that problem with the solution and how you convey that information.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I completely agree. I found in my own life that it really helped me fight through obstacles and frustration when I was focused on somebody else's needs, like my customers, and I'm frankly, I've had this podcast for almost 5 years now, and there for a while, I actually I put it on the shelf because I was frustrated at the lack of results, and then I realized a couple of things. One, I was focused on results, and I was looking at results for myself, which made it really easy to get discouraged. And I really made two mindset changes that have really changed my life. One is I make my vision about helping other people. So I'm all about helping construction business owners, and then I can't go wrong. I will not be frustrated when I'm all about helping other people, because I can always help somebody else. And then the other big shift I made was to not be focused on results at all. And I picked this up from Nick Saban, the Alabama football coach, and he talks about the process. And he advises, he coaches his players. It all starts, in the weight room. And he says something like, we win national championships and SEC championships in the weight room. We don't win them on the field. We win them in the weight room. And it's because it's the process of doing that last set, doing that extra, making sure you're doing all the reps in your sets. It's on the practice field, going as hard as you can for that 7-second long play. He tells his people, don't look at the scoreboard. If you will embrace the process, realize that the process is your friend, then the SEC championships and the national championships will take care of themselves. But so many times, I know with me, and I think it's for a lot of people, we get so focused on the results, we're looking at the scoreboard, frustrated at the lack of results. And the problem is we're looking at the scoreboard. And the answer is just focus on the process, do the work, focus on other people, get better. And that certainly has helped me a lot. One more question for the ladies out there starting a business. Are there any mistakes that you see women in construction making that you would advise them to maybe do a self-assessment on and make some changes? Anything that comes to mind there?
So I own lots of other businesses, and I've told them I've done consulting for lots of large builders, for branding, marketing, sales. All those things come very easy to me. This industry is like nothing I've ever experienced. I guess one thing that I would say to the individuals looking to get in construction is you just got to do it. And you know what? It's scary, and you're going to get, there'll be conflicts, there'll be arguments. But like kind of what you were saying, it's about the process and learning the process. And there's such a bigger opportunity here to be able to create something. And I think with that process, the one item that I have found in every day is communication. How well can you communicate? How well can you communicate with a sub? How well can you communicate with a client? How can you keep your focus and know that there's ways to communicate that focus, right? I think that you just got to go for it. I do. And I think if you're scared, I think the things that scare us are the things that make us successful. There's a lot of hard work out there, but there's a lot of good people that want to surround you because you are doing something uniquely different, and you're in an industry that there's a lot of supporters out there, and there's a lot of people that don't want you in the industry. I've experienced both, But my fundamental rule for me is that I want to do this. This is something that I'm passionate about and something that I feel is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to do this. This was my calling, as I kind of like to feel. And because of that, you've got to just keep pursuing. That's my biggest, just keep pursuing. And if there's anything that I can do, or if there's any way that I can help or answer any experiences, I'm always happy to feed that. I'm always happy to share information. I'm always happy to help the next person, because I think overall life's a circle. And I think when you help somebody, it always comes back to you in the end. That's just how I see things.
Yeah, absolutely. My advice for people, if someone is thinking about building a business, growing a business, starting a business, is, well, I'll tell you my experience. I used to think that the most important thing was to have the right idea. And then if something wasn't working, then it meant I was not on the right idea, and as a result, I would jump to something else. And I would try that for a while, and then, well, that wasn't working, or there was some sort of resistance, or things didn't go just perfectly right off the bat, so I would jump to the next idea. So I looked back and realized that I spent several years just bouncing from idea to idea because I thought I just had to find the right idea. Now, since then, I've learned that it's really not about the idea, that it really starts with your decision. And my advice to somebody who really feels this pull to jump in and start their business is just decide that you're going to do it and do it.
And follow the leaders, right? And, you know, when I started this company, I was a little crazy. You know, I pursued and I had 4 projects, which I don't know if I would tell anybody when they're starting their business to grab 4 projects right away. It was a little overwhelming, and my projects were spaced very far apart. So if there's one part of advice, make sure your projects are close in proximity, because you're doing a lot of travel time. And I always say, you know, the best people that you can learn from are the ones that you admire. Follow what they're doing, right? See how they're pursuing it. And, you know, I think you have a lot of great tools, Todd, on your website. I think you have a lot of great tools of information with your podcast. There's always some type of information we're always missing. And if somebody's already done it and they're doing it at a great level, why not learn how they're doing it and do it and duplicate it? You can always personalize it later. You can always get better at it, but keep your focus on one thing and try to do that one thing well.
Yeah, that's a great advice. Focus on one thing and just put all of your emphasis on one thing and do it well. And don't feel like you have to be creative. I talk a lot about
when you're learning.
Yeah, and I talk a lot about a college professor I had named Dr. Wu, who stood in front of a class of young aspiring engineers and basically told us in his thick Korean accent, you guys are not that smart. You're not doctors. You're engineers. Just find the right formula and turn the crank. Yeah. Find the right formula, turn the crank. So find something that works, whether it's ideally somebody else is already doing it. Just do what works. And don't feel like you have to start from scratch and reinvent the wheel. Find something that works and at least get started. Definitely. Yeah. Great advice.
I think the other thing that you kind of hone in on too is do things that are already digitally connected, right? So I have a program that I use. I have a builder software that connects the homeowner to check on their project. You're able to put the bill schedule in there. You're able to execute and do purchase orders. You're able to connect it with QuickBooks. Anything that you can start your business with digitally and get yourself set up for success to start your company is only going to help you. Because if you start your company where you're doing all these things manually, it's just more time consuming and it's not making you more proficient. So anything that you can learn digitally from like your key sheets that you were talking about, or a builder platform, or if there's a software system, or if you can use QuickBooks, or anything that you can do digitally to make your company work faster and more efficiently, that is going to progress you so much faster and easier. And in the end, you're not going to be doing 25 jobs. You're going to be doing like 5.
Yeah, I talk to folks every once in a while, and I get the impression that they spend a significant amount of their time just building spreadsheets and systems, and they don't really need to do that. There are people out there who have done that, and they say things like, "Well, it's like $100 for their software," and I say,
Yeah.
You're spending 10 hours a month on this, and you're saving $100. To save $100, like, is your time worth more than $50 an hour? I tell people that if you're a construction business owner, your time is worth about $1,000 an hour. And I've got a podcast episode number 79 with a handful of things that are worth $1,000 an hour to a construction business owner. And when they think about it that way, then they realize, oh, I can't afford to do this kind of stuff. I have to be doing higher value things. Yeah. Let's talk in general. If somebody were to come up to you, male or female, and they said, Audrey, I want to grow my business. I want to get to the next level. What are a couple of the questions that you would ask them?
I would say if they're looking to grow their business into the next level, what does that level look like? Do you have an outline of, is it, let's just put it in a factor of how I would look at it for Connect Home Builders. So my planning, I would get planning in place, right? And I would say, I want to build 6 new homes. In those 6 new homes, this is the price point that I need them to be at, and I want to know what my deliverable is, right? I would also say, what type of processes do you have in place? Do you have team members that believe in your philosophy, and how are you going to execute and get win-wins with them in order to get your builds in the right places? The other big contributing factor for me, just with the experience that I have went through, are you interviewing your clients? Are you, when we start our companies, we are aggressively going out there and grabbing business wherever we can take it, right? Oh, God, there's a new build, I want to get that one. Oh, and there's another one that I want to get it. And my whole thing is, I think that you should grab as much business as you can possibly maintain, but the other thing is, also realize that you have value, and if you are meeting a client and you're getting some negativity, you're getting some really weird flags, I would say really try to walk yourself through it and make sure that that's something you want to be involved in, because in building, it's almost like a marriage for 12 months. You're dating and you're constantly talking with each other, so make sure that you have good clients that work with you. And also the other piece of advice I would actually talk with them about is setting up expectations. One of the things that I've learned in my own business is that I actually put together a one sheet that has about 20 details of information on expectations, and really being able to communicate that with the client so they understand where I'm coming from. And then we also talk about them going forward and first most, and saying, what are your expectations? How do you perceive this going? What kind of things would you like to know? What kind of things do you want in your home? What kind of things are shared to you? And having that open conversation and actually building an expectation is so key to any type of construction, and being able to overcome those expectations is the next balance in that.
That's great advice. To make sure you find the right clients, because not all...
It's scary when you get bad ones, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And we've all experienced it, and it's not just in building, it's in any type of industry. There's a lot of things that I've learned in my other businesses that I relate into building, but again, it all comes down to expectation, and gosh, picking the right client is so key in any business and in doing anything. And if we don't have the right ones, we suffer through it, and it actually takes 10 times more of our energy to work with a difficult client than it does with the right client. And why not just pick the right one to begin with?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most overlooked parts of the sales process with contractors is qualifying their contracts.
Yeah,
qualifying their prospects.
And knowing that you have a choice, right? I mean, if you have a good product, you have a choice of who you can work with.
Yeah. But I think a lot of that comes back to a few things. One, to your point, people don't think that they get to choose. Like, well, if somebody asks me for an estimate, then I have to give them an estimate, and if they say yes, I have to work with them.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is kind of silly. But then I think in a lot of cases, the answer is, like, the root cause of that is there's just an insufficient backlog. So people are in a desperate situation, so they have to. They feel like they have to. Yeah, they feel like they have to take whatever comes across their desk, and like, well, this guy's going to be a pain in the ass, but we need to work, so let's just bear down and deal with it. And I talk a lot about operating from right to left, and part of that is being strategic about your business development. Let's go find the right kind of clients. Let's build your backlog so you don't get in that situation, and you can selectively fire bad clients. I've got a coaching client of mine, and they got themselves in a position where they had a healthy backlog, and they were able to fire a couple of their previous clients that they will not be working with anymore, and they were very happy about that. So that's just knowing that you can fire your clients may be a revelation for some of the folks listening here.
Right, and I think the other thing is respect. You know, in the building industry, one of the things that, we're all highly intelligent people these days. When you are building a house or you're in construction, you can Google anything, and all of a sudden now you're an expert, right? You've never been in the industry, but now you're an expert in building and construction. And one of the things that always gets overlooked is that you being the builder or the general contractor or anybody in this industry, you also deserve respect. And I'm talking about respect in the area of building, because lots of clients think that because they read it online, that's the way it's supposed to be done, right? And we both know in construction there is a general understanding. There's a general building code. There's general things that we follow in order to have safety in our homes and to build a project the correct way. But there's also things change on site. You know, you may have a gable, and let's just say there's a plate that was supposed to go on the gable, and the plate shifted, and now you have to have these different types of bolts that have to be in there. I mean, there's things that change all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And communication is a factor, right? You always want to be communicating with your client. But if you have a bad client, and believe me, I've had bad clients, the other thing is that you've got to build a rapport, and you are also, as the contractor or the builder, you have rights to respect in the way that you should be treated as well. And that was one of the things that I learned in my business. You know, I came from the factor, yes, clients are always correct, right? We're in a service industry. We always want to serve our clients to the best of our ability. But the other thing that I've realized too is that if you set up the expectation, you have the conversation, you also deserve respect, and you should be talked to the right way as well. And that's one of the things that I've learned in this industry that is really like nothing I've ever seen. And maybe it's not just in construction. I just have never experienced it in publishing or in sales or any of the other things that I've been in, like this industry. And I think it's just because building is one of the biggest investments, and people read something online, they think that's how it's supposed to be, and then there is, conflict. And so, again, I think if you can do anything, make sure you pick the right client and set up the expectation of respect, because it does transition.
Yeah, setting expectations is really huge, because so many problems go back to that. If you are super aggressive, and one of the things I found. Go ahead.
I think, Todd, everybody has good intention, right? We all want to do the best job we possibly can with the person that we're working with. It's just, again, it's construction. Construction doesn't go sometimes A to B. It just doesn't happen that way. It's just there's things that will happen that we cannot control. Like, let's say we have a soil test, and that soil test comes back great, and then all of a sudden 5 feet or 10 feet away from that test hole site, now you have rocks and you're doing blasting, and the client's freaking out because how dare you not tell them that you're going to have this situation, right? So those are the kind of things that, again, I'm just saying that if you can have those conversations and, again, realize that you deserve the same respect that you're getting from the client, and you have to set up that expectation, everything should run a little bit better and smoother.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've seen this from small residential remodeling projects all the way up to $60 million commercial projects where the contractor really is, what it comes down to is out of a fear of conflict or out of a fear of
agree.
Of conflict, they avoid tough conversations and they do really dumb stuff to avoid difficult conversations. Dumb stuff like, well, in the case of a soils issue, what they should do is say, all right, we're going to start the excavation. Here are the potential risks. This is what could happen.
Yeah.
And if there's a risk of something, it's sort of like you would talk to your clients like you would want your surgeon to talk to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the surgeon's fault that if I've eaten McDonald's 3 times a day for the last 25 years and my arteries are clogged, it's not the surgeon's fault that he finds a clogged artery, and I'm not going to be mad at him. And similarly, if you're doing work on the client's site and they've got a soils issue or unforeseen condition, buried garbage, it's not the contractor's fault to say that. So it's much better just to hit that stuff head on and say, we're going to start this phase of the project. Here are the risks. It's very possible that we will run into rock. We did not include rock excavation. It's possible that we'll run into old septic tanks or unforeseen conditions, or if we run into buried debris or unsuitable material, this is what we're going to do. We're going to come back to you, and we're going to tell you that this has to be fixed, or we have to move it, and we're going to charge this much. Okay? Just hit it head on, and set expectations right out of the gate on what the potential risks are. Don't shoot yourself in the foot by setting really aggressive expectations on schedule or budget. Sometimes we want to be the hero and say, it's probably going to take 12 months to build your house, but I think we can get it done in 11. And because I think that's what they want to hear. Or we put together a budget on a project and our knee-jerk response is, oh, that's too much. They're never going to go for that. Like, based on what?
Right.
So we immediately start to cut pricing and really take away margin for no good reason. And the best thing to do is just set expectations. So many problems come back to poorly set or expectations that weren't set at all. And everybody's going to build a narrative around something, whether it's cost, budgets, what's in scope, what's out of scope. And you might as well define that narrative up front. If you're the contractor, you're next on the line. So what I tell people is somebody's going to determine how successful you are. It might as well be you. And if you don't do it, somebody else will. So, well, listen, we are running up against time here. You've got an audience of construction business owners and leaders here. If there's one thing that you'd like to leave them with, what would that be?
I think being in this industry is, again, keep following your path, keep pursuing, don't give up. And the other biggest thing is find somebody in your inner circle or in the industry that you admire and ask them lots of questions. Sit down and have coffee with them. Find out, research what they're doing, and try to emulate, especially if you're starting in this industry. If you've already been in the industry for a while, I guess my suggestion would be do what you do and do it the best that you can. And at the end of the day, hopefully you have happy clients and you've done something great, and it's a testament to your hard work being able to provide an opportunity for someone to have a home or a dream home or a residence that they may have never had before. So in that, feel good about it. You know, I'm trying to keep my mindset open and be positive in a crazy building market space, and do something great for people that have worked a really long time to have one of the biggest investments in their life. So I wish everybody out there great and good luck. And if there's any part that I can contribute or help in, you can email me at Audrey at Connect Home Builders, or, maybe there'll be show notes, but I'm always willing to help anybody that I can. If there's something that I can provide some type of answer or some type of conversation, I'd love to be that person.
Great. I appreciate that. And that's Audrey at Connect Home Builders. And that's Audrey with 2 E's. Excellent. Well, Audrey, this has been fantastic. Thanks so much for taking the time and being generous with your time to be on the podcast. It's been very helpful.
Yes, I appreciate it. And thanks a lot. And keep doing what you're doing, Todd. We really appreciate it.
Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that interview. Be sure to reach out and connect with Audrey over at connecthomebuilders.com. Her email address is Audrey, Audree, at connecthomebuilders.com. And let me ask you this. If you own a construction business, we are approaching the end of 2018. Are you satisfied with the way things are winding up? Or did you achieve your goals for 2018? Did you have goals for 2018? Do you have goals, or do you have a vision for where you want to be in 2019? Maybe there's some roadblocks in the way. Maybe there are some missing pieces to the puzzle. Maybe you just need some help to clarify your vision. Well, if you want to do that, if you want to make 2019, if you want to make next year better than this year, no matter when you're listening to this, if you want to make the next 12 months better than the previous 12 months, then you've got to have a strategy. You've got to have a vision and direction. You've got to have a plan in place. You've got to have some accountability. You've got to have some focus so you can have momentum and get where you want to be. And I want to help you do that. And frankly, one of the best ways I can do that is to get on the phone with you. I want to offer a free coaching call where we can identify some of the roadblocks that are holding you back, put together some strategies. I'll help you identify the lead dominoes that you need to focus on first so you can get moving and make some stuff happen. If you want to take advantage of that free call, all you have to do is go to constructionleadingedge.com/call, C-A-L-L. You can schedule a call right there, and we'll jump on the phone, and you will get some results. You'll be glad that you did. Don't forget, you can also get your hands on the free video series, Secrets of Successful Contractors. You can do that over at constructionleadingedge.com/owner. And don't forget, if you want to get your hands on my Revenue Maximizer program, which is worth a couple $1,000, the Contractor Sales Accelerator program, which is worth about $3,000, not to mention the Project Execution Formula, the Mindset Upgrade, all of my best online training resources. You can get a free 10-day test drive. Go through all of that information. You can get it all for free right now for 10 days over at constructionbusinessaccelerator.com. But hurry, because that offer will be going away soon. So if you're thinking about it, then you should go sign up, grab it before it goes away. And one last thing before we go, I appreciate the ratings and reviews that you folks are leaving on your podcast players. If you could take a few minutes and do that, I would certainly appreciate it. You can go to constructionleadingedge.com/iTunes review for a step-by-step process to leave a rating or a review on iTunes. That helps me get the word out there to the internet, and it's also nice to hear your feedback. So if you could take a few minutes to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. And that is all the time we have today. Have a great week. I'll talk to you next time.